This is a tale of the natural human psyche and the transformation every one of us must experience. Leave what you thought to be true on 3rd Street. Egos are uninvited. You are entering a mystical, fantastical, and unworldly realm. It's too late to turn back now. You've already paid for your tickets. So, sit back for these illuminating tales, for the person you once were to the person you've now become. The light at the end of the tunnel is where I'll be. See you then.
yard, moment stuck in time, moment I could throw. I would give it all, look into the dawn. New morning horizons, freshly coming far. I would give it all, moment in the yard, moment stuck in time, moment I could throw. I would give it all, look into the dark.
November 6th, 2022. Dear B, it's been a long time. Time that seemed to pass without my permission or knowledge, that escaped me through parties, work, love, and just life itself. Obviously, I let my communication skills skip town as well because 12 years, long overdue is an understatement that I won't bore you with. My only concern is how you've been. What's life like back home? How's the family? It's been hard watching everyone grow through Facebook and pictures, but I appreciate that link to you all. I heard about Ma's sickness. I'm so sorry. I pray she gets better. I had every intention to get in touch when word got to me, but COVID hit and it left me pretty unstable, but all the same, I should have sent my regards. That woman raised me like her own along with you guys. That's something I can never repay, but knowing her, she would call me silly for assuming loving me was some kind of a debt.
June 26th was the day Pops and I parked our beat-down U-Haul in front of 3011 North Park Drive. We didn't have any movers, because we barely had any money, so I rolled up my 7-year-old big girl sleeves and started on my enormous assignment. About 6 back-breaking boxes later, I saw you sitting on that rustic white porch next door, whistling at the birds and watering the tulips potted in your front yard. Your bright blue eyes caught my attention from the truck. Knowing how awkward my younger self was, I picked on you for whistling "You Are My Sunshine" in that hippie-looking dress that I secretly loved. To my surprise, instead of getting annoyed with me, you asked me to pick flowers with you from around the oak tree. I felt inclined to follow you for some reason, and the rest was history. We talked for hours about the fairies you thought lived in the tree and the offerings from Sunday dinners that you leave by its roots. Rolling in the dirt and laughing about God knows what, I lost track of time in my previous job. And next thing you know, we hear a loud "B." Your mother, Ma, in her flare blue jeans and tie-dye t-shirt, came into the yard asking if we wanted dinner. She paused and smiled at me, lending me a hand out of the dirt. My Pops came out in the middle of it all and yelled for me to get back to work, but Ma stopped him, calling for your older brothers Henry and Dan. She told Pop he has new helpers now and that I needed to come in for dinner. I've never seen that man step down so easily. Stuck in place, she took my hand once again and looked me in my eyes. "Let's get you cleaned up, my new flower."
I'm telling you the story as if you weren't right there beside me with a radiant smile that matched hers in every way.
I assumed the role of a mother. Young, a practical child, to cope and care for children small and confused. I remember a crumbling home, a broken face of a father's sorrow. I remember boys and girls that crowded around me as I told stories, ones from their favorite beat-up books and new ones that made them the heroes I made up from my mind. I kissed foreheads, made soups, and let down the hemlines of clothes that these children outgrew so quickly. I took the place of a woman who was only a shadow to most, and I took it happily so that the babies who smiled up at me as if I had borne them would not know the life I had been forced through. My happiness bloomed from theirs like the winking irises in the garden, and I felt the same sorrow as an aging mother as the youngest grew too old for me to lift anymore. As my sisters married off to men or went off to schools, I had not cared for myself. I did not have the figure I was to my sweet children. No hands to wash my hair or bandage bruises on my legs. I created home when there was almost none. I distracted my children with happy stories so they did not face destruction. And I love them, and I hold no hate in my heart.
Hey, that's my favorite book.
Your favorite book is Where the Wild Things Are?
My mother used to read it to me as a kid. It stuck. Can I sit here?
Be my guest. I'm actually getting off at the stop anyways.
Oh, well have a safe trip, ma'am.
You too. Where are you headed?
Back home, unfortunately.
Oh, not a great place?
No, not really.
Well, just remember, just because it's your house doesn't mean it's your home. You're gonna be okay. Have a great trip.
I don't know the touch of soft quilted blankets snuggled together for warmth. I never experienced family picnics in a crowded park, sweat beating off my face as I play catch with my father, to collect seashells and build sandcastles and gift my newfound treasures to my mother. I never had the chance to collect trinkets charged with fond memories, an only child with no other siblings to give me guidance. I never experienced love through outgrown hemlines of clothes, no one to kiss my forehead or read my favorite worn-out books. Suffocated by their constant expectations, I needed a release, so I fled to college. I love my parents, truly I do. I never hold any grudge against them. They lined my pockets to help restart my life, but between the interviews and the deadlines, I had to distract my inner child with happy stories, believing college was some sort of promised land. I was being crushed with disappointment, though. Socializing was never really my strong suit. Not having the resources or the opportunity to identify social cues, I constantly molded myself to what other people found likable. And the love I finally gained felt empty and held no worth. College wasn't my home either. That's all it taught me was how to wreak havoc and relive painful memories day after day, and I found myself at bars more often than not, and I'd walk through a sea of forgettable faces and whispered names, thinking to myself, do I still have a chance? A chance to finally gain something I can call my own, something home? What even is home? For me, home would be a sanctuary, a place where I can show my true self. Free from this disguise, I'd have something I can call my own. Hello? Yeah, all right. I'll be home in a few. Hey, tell Mom I love her.
December 31st, 2022. Dear B, it's been about a month and some change since I assume my first letter got to you. How are you? Don't feel rushed to respond. These letters are me trying in some capacity to make up for lost time, if that's even possible. I'm currently sitting at a New Year's party hosted by New York's most prestigious. What would seem to be a brag is more of a cry for help, considering how agitating these people are. My agent, on the other hand, thinks this is marketing at its finest. As I look throughout this room, I see hidden pain, cries for help in the depths of glitz and glamour. So I pulled out a pen and paper and figured I'd add to your mailbox again. I found myself daydreaming on the accounts of our previous New Year spent together, though there's one that sticks harder than most.
We were about 12, and after that year being full of work, we planned for about a month for a New Year's Eve party with all of the family together, even Pops. Pops had finally become a pilot and was living his dream, but somehow his dreams didn't always include me. He spent so much time in the air that I think he forgot his baby was still on the ground. So I spent the year with you, Ma, and the gang. Despite my abandonment, I still let my naive heart assume you would show up. Sparklers in hand, party hat on, I stood at your front doorway with hope overflowing my heart. We hear a car engine rev. Knowing who it was and wishing it wasn't true, all the hope I had. Where was he going? Away. Again. Instead of letting me revel in my pain, you gathered all our party supplies in a bag, grabbed my hand, and yelled to Ma that we would be back. In utter confusion, I stumbled across your lawn and then mine to Pop's. He was just sitting there, letting the car warm music loud, contemplating through the frosty windows. Whatever had his mind made it easy for us to slip into back onto the floor. We spent about 10 minutes there in my driveway until he pulled off. We knew we were getting close to the airport once we heard the sounds of planes soaring off and engines rumbling. Pops parked and got out of the car with haste. As soon as he got out, we raised our heads and looked out the window when we saw the most beautiful thing. A plane. She was one of the biggest I'd ever seen, and I was mesmerized. You once again took my hand and dragged me out of the car down the runway, right behind Pops, yelling at the top of your lungs. You said,
Promise Delilah you'll be here. It's New Year's Eve.
Pops turned around. His face went from surprise to pure annoyance. Girls, why are you here? How did you get here? Delilah, you know better than to be running down a damn runway. You put your finger up and stopped his ranting. With all due respect, sir, your daughter was expecting you at her well-planned New Year's party. She even made a party hat with your name on it. You pulled out the party hat labeled Pops and handed it to him. We get you're busy, but you promised, and that was important to her. He stood there stuck. His face turned from that annoying grimace to a sad smile. He looked at me. I looked back. Tears in my eyes. Astonished because you said everything I didn't think I had the guts to say. I'm sorry, Delilah. I was called to fly tonight. I hope your party goes well. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I won't be able to make it. I love you. Before I got to say a thing, he walked up the plane steps.
I ran up the stairs and hugged him. He kept walking. At that moment, I felt like I had lost Pops forever. Walking down the stairs, you held your hand out to me. Grabbing it, we walked back down the runway together. I wondered why he left without at least giving us a damn ride home, but when we picked our sad heads up, there was Ma, sitting at the hood of her car, waiting for us with the same sad smile as Pops. We ran to her and cried in her arms.
Happy New Year!
What a way to bring in the new year. Dear B, how have you been? I hope you're doing all right. From what I've seen, you're still at High Point. How are your brothers? They still there? I don't think I'm the only one who wanted out of that town. There's only so much that place can give you anyway. But I'm sure you would have liked it here in the big city. I'm sure of it. But I'm sorry I disappeared on you. Like I said before, I should have tried to keep in contact, and I was completely out of line. Look, when you get the chance, please send me a letter back or anything back. I'm worried about you.
Ma had guests over that day, a couple of friends she'd usually play games and talk idly with. It had been raining for days, but that day the sun was beaming beautifully. We couldn't pass it up and played outside. I can't exactly remember what game we played, but I do know that it was tiring because not long after, we both plopped down next to the fairy tree. We talked for what felt like hours before we heard a faint chirp from above. Excitedly, I bounced up from my seat and saw a baby bird. It was awfully close to falling out of its nest, wiggling close to the edge. Worried that the slightest raise of my voice would make it fall, I whispered, "B," and pointed up. You pushed yourself up and saw the bird, immediately urging me to get on your shoulders to save it. Right as I was about to reach for the fledging, we heard the begging calls of the yellow bird get closer and closer until it sank by both our ears. Despite you being closer to it, I was the first to notice that it had passed, among other things. I noticed how the cicadas seemed to sing in grief, how the flowers we planted seemed to weep, and how the wind seemed to have stolen my voice along with the birds. How your eyes widened at the familiar yet foreign smell of copper tickled your nose right after mine. I'm sure that your screams that day could be heard from the clouds high above the mountain tops, Pop's plane, and Ma's living room where she was playing dominoes with her friends. It was like a beacon in the sky, and Ma was the hero who came running out to save you. Not many people are lucky enough to get one of those. Ma raced out to the lawn to check what the ruckus was. She tried asking you what was the matter, but you were nothing but a broken record saying it. It was then that she turned to me, eyes begging for an answer, but the winds weren't budging. I don't remember it all too well, but not long after, Ma buried the baby bird near the tree. I started crying. Not screaming crying like yours, but sad. Quiet tears sliding down my cheeks.
Even when I heard Ma screaming as she read the emotionless headline breaking the news about Pop, I wasn't crying like you. I wasn't crying at all.
never particularly had a taste for this coffee. It's bitter, and no matter how much Splenda or creamer I pour into it, that bitterness doesn't go away. It won't go away. I mean, I've worked here for 6 years now, and this coffee's been the same thing pretty much every time. Every time! And that's not the only thing that hasn't changed here. That's not the only thing that hasn't changed in this office. For months now, my chair has had a broken wheel, and maybe I'm not asking the right person, or maybe I'm just being petty, but it's incredibly frustrating. Sometimes I'll come in after a rough night or maybe just a bad start to the morning, already dreading work, and I'm just blissfully unaware of the fact that my chair still has a broken wheel. And I sit and I try to move, but the chair won't. That alone almost sent me a number of times. As well do the barren cubicles, or the calendar from last month that no one's changed, the bathrooms that smell like piss and chlorine, or that stupid, bulky printer that sounds like a broken motor. And you know what I get for enduring all of it? A bitter cup of coffee in the morning. I remember that day. It was July 1st, a week before your 7th birthday. You had begged me to take you to the park the whole day, and eventually I gave in. Mom was at work, like always, and I was at home taking care of you. It was a lot to handle for a 12-year-old, I'll admit. Wake up at 7 a.m., make breakfast, make sure you took your morning meds, start laundry, clean the floors, lunch at 12 p.m., and nap time right after, then start laundry, already started laundry, clean the bathrooms, dust and do the dishes, then take your evening medication. By that point, it's time to start dinner, and afterwards, off to bed you go. Story and a kiss goodnight. Wake up the next morning and do it all over again. Mom would never let you go to the park. She said you weren't well enough, that you were fragile and could get hurt. But I remember you used to stare at the front door for hours just watching the neighborhood kids play. I felt guilty. Guilty that you weren't able to be a kid, chained to this house because of something you never chose, something you never deserved. The only time you asked me to go to the park was that day. You begged, and I couldn't help but give in just this once. Your face lit up, and in that moment, everything was real. Your smile and your laugh were so pure and genuine, I couldn't help but smile too. I wanted to keep that moment in a photograph so I could have it with me forever. I should have known and more and done and been there. If I had just been there, I could have. I'm so sorry, Maggie. It's all my fault.
Are you sorry?
What?
Are you sorry? Look at you! You're just like Mom. Locking yourself away at your job, blaming yourself. Maggie wouldn't have wanted that.
Well, what would you rather I do? Move on, act like she never existed? She's our sister, and she's dead. I'll never get her back.
Oh, so you'd rather rot away at this desk, drinking the same coffee, complaining about the same things, crying over her? What happened, Vince? We were going to go to school and study art. We were going to be successful. How could you jeopardize that? It's been long enough. It's time to move on.
Move on. Move on. How dare you? I love Maggie, and it's my fault that she's gone.
Let it go. She's gone. Okay. I'm sorry that it has to be this way, but you're not letting her memory rest. Let her finally pass on for her sake, Vince. Please.
I can't.
Maggie wouldn't want this, Vince.
But you know what she wants. Enlighten me then.
I can't speak for Maggie. But you holding on to her memories ruining your life. Ruining our life, don't you see? Your life is miserable now because of you blaming yourself. It wasn't our fault. But you continue to villainize yourself, and that's why you ended up in this dead-end job, in this dead-end life. I know more than anyone how much you love her. How much we love her.
What am I supposed to do?
You still have time to heal. Maggie will be so proud of you.
I will be proud of you. It's time to let go, Vince.
I know. I know it's time. Goodbye, Magnolia. I'll see you again someday. I promise.
Lila? Oh, it's so good to see you again. Look how much you've grown.
Oh, I've missed you so much. I'm so sorry. It's been so long. I've just been so caught up with my career and then bills and then with COVID. Well, I suppose that's no excuse. How are Henry and Dan and God, how are you?
Boys are holding up. It's been hard on all of us. B was the one who mastered cheering us all up.
I just should have shown up. You know, it was only a 2-hour flight. I could have swung it. I could have made it.
Lila, it is not your fault. How could you have known? And besides, your letters brought her so much happiness. Much more happiness than I brought her. Just to know you were there thinking about her. It was me who failed you. I should have made sure you got these.
These, I thought she never even got my letters. I thought there was some postal issue or something, but this whole time?
She was too scared to reach out. She thought her circumstances would make you regret wanting to know, but I kept every last one. I knew she needed you to see these.
November 14th,
14th,
2022. Dear Delilah, I'm not sure how to start this. There is no good way to start this because it has been a long time since we last spoke to each other. I've received all your letters with you telling me that long overdue is an understatement. I suppose now I'm the one who has to apologize for keeping you waiting. I am so sorry for not keeping in touch with you. I should have reached out sooner after graduation to let you know I was always there for you after Pops died, but you moved away, and I knew you needed time to grieve and process the whole event. But I should have made more of an effort to check up on you. Lately, I've been feeling overwhelmed, and I know you know what that feeling is like. After graduation, it felt like the end of the world. I couldn't grasp at the fact that I wouldn't have someone by my side. You were practically a family member to me. I even remember that time Ma got us those matching shirts that said 2 peas in a pod. Remember that? We wore those so much that summer that when August came by, the vinyl had almost completely worn off. It's one of my favorite memories of us. Delilah, I don't want to beat around the bush. A couple months ago, I got diagnosed with leukemia. The doctors caught it late and only gave me a few months to live. That was 3 months ago. The focus right now is keeping me comfortable and giving me medication for the pain and nausea, but if anything, I see this as an uphill battle. Oddly enough, the tangible end in sight makes things a bit easier. Is it bad to say I'm sort of looking forward to seeing what's on the other side? I always told Ma that I'm already on the way there, so why not be excited for the destination? The place I'm going holds nothing but happiness. Delilah, the hardest part about this is having to say goodbye. I'm far from ready to say goodbye to everything I have here, like my garden or the house. Delilah, I'm not ready to say goodbye to you. I know our time together has been cut short, but you have always been my best friend. In fact, I always considered you a sister. You've always meant so much to me, and I want you to remember that. Yours always, B.
Oh, harvest moon, how I anticipate you. For several evenings in full bloom, September winds chill the night sky. Trees turn hues of red and gold, yellow and brown, and piles fill for a courageous cannonball. I take leaps through this beautiful death, or rather, deep sleep of this landscape, humbled by its hibernation. We gather round this fire, congregating with the stars. Those who care are close and cuddled, or maybe isolation would be preferred. It all lights a match in my heart like a cure to the cold. But let's not forget the darkness, those shadows of the night. When the woods are blacked out, secrets come to light. Look around so you can see, not too far out, the remnants of a cabin called Mount Lurie. What once was a sanctuary, a loving place for lovers, dreamers, and families, quickly became a tortured hiding place for the broken. I cannot speak of their whereabouts, for they can hear. The walkers are in ear length. If their story is heard, we shall become outranked, outnumbered, forgotten to the woods.
Not to be a downer or to pacify such lore. We're not here for fear, just to adore the moon at its harvest under orange love and light. Take a s'more, let go of fright.
bites your freckled, frostbite embroidered cheeks with a glacial needle, solidifies your ears with bitter whispers and crunching snow.
Bitter snow burns exposed nerves, frosting barred skin. Like vines of a forgotten garden, winter coils around your boots. Nips at your feet, then your ankles, then your calves, then your shins.
Its serrated thorns carve a trypophobic trail, smothering your sense of touch. The desolate pain, akin to fire ants, eats you alive.
Yet with their gaze high in the sky, moon reflecting in their eyes, they do not waver. The vicious peace of the wolf moon does not ease the physical toll. It is not a pillow for woeful comfort, nor for justified screams.
Your howls went quiet in the moon's ears. There is no response, but you are heard.
In the battle of endurance, your peace is found. The wolf moon is an empty comfort, a window reflecting you. Not people you, but you. The you who mastered 2 languages, body and word, and had found a third reaction to fear, adapt.
For you, the moon is an escape.
An angry cold,
a timeless peace. As the rain pours down, Celine's guiding chariot is blurred. Stars are no longer there, twinkling a billion light years away, an ember far too gone to truly love.
As the rain pours down, Celine's chariot moon soars through ombre clouds. Different shades of midnight blue, varied by rainy clouds, splotch paints on the faraway canvas.
As the rain pours down, a mysterious man, I'm sure, turns on the city lights. Man-made stars twinkling, your face tickled by precipitating drops. As the rain pours down, we shiver from our own very core. Celine's chariot blew a gust of wind onto dampened clothes. Her dust trail almost crystallized, freezing us to a place, someplace.
As the rain pours down, it frees our tears from watchful gazes. The sky's tears hides our own, camouflaging them.
sky. This warm breeze evokes a natural high. The sun takes the street route around our rock. Light lasts for hours more than it should. As time ticks by, we wait in the wood. The shift from day to night, a restful silence, full of fear of what lurks rather than the darkness itself, until we appear. Year after year, we play a game. Dancing, turning on our light, dancing under lunar rays, till captured in a jar where we decay. Why do we come when wet with such unwavering fate? In our nature, it states, we entertain our mates, they giggle at our light, dancing across their vision, showing the way through the green, how beautiful their smiles glow, how beautiful to be seen. Despite misfortune, we love the children like our kin. The innocence in their eyes breaking out of brisk cold, the drag of rain and snowfall, watching their liberation, their revival. It fills us with bliss. Run, children, feel the warm wind whistle through your pores. The rain has dried, the cold mask has risen. Play till your heart's content. As we watch through the glass, time ceases to pass until a sweet boy twists the top, letting us go.